Hello there YouTube, it's your boy B3, back with another kicking manga review. Today's is another Shonen Jump manga from my childhood. It is Yu-Gi-Oh! Volume 4, Kaiba's Revenge. Yeah, very fun. We will be reviewing all of Yu-Gi-Oh! The original, and then eventually Duelist, Millennium World, and probably R. Well, I probably won't go past that though, no GX or anything. But yeah, story and art is by Kazuki Takahashi, originally published in Shonen Jump manga. This is the English translation, obviously. Sorry if I compare it to the English dub anime a lot, but I probably will. And just so you know, Jono Uchi, I think is his name, but I always say Jonichi. Sorry about that. Jono Uchi, he goes by Joey in the English dub of the anime. And then you have Anzu, who goes by Taya in the English dub of the anime, and you have Honda, who goes as Tristan who goes by Tristan in the English dub of the anime. I will be calling them their manga names. Everybody else still really has the same names from what I can tell, at least so far. But we start with Duel 25, the 1-inch terror, where Jonouchi and Yugi go to an arcade and they play this like fighting game, and Yugi is kicking some dude's ass with a Bruce Lee character. Then the guy shows up and he looks like a really exaggerated version of Bruce Lee, and he attacks Yugi and, you know, steals the Millennium Puzzle, because everyone does that. But Jonoichi has to confront him, and they play a shadow game without the shadow, basically, where they each have to put a knife in their mouth during the fight between their teeth with the tip pointed in. So, and like the goal is to hit the other person's knife into like the back of their throat and sever their brainstem or something insane. But Junichi's like, you don't even have to use the knife because I don't want to murder somebody. But and Junichi is able to win that fight in a very JoJo's Bizarre Adventure kind of way, which I don't want to spoil because I really liked it. Then we also see Kaiba, specifically Mokuba Kaiba, because both their names are Kaiba. That's how it works. The first name is the family name, and the family name is Kaiba. And then Seto, the last name, is the more familiar personal name for the one we know is Kaiba, and then Mokuba Kaiba. I'll just call him Mokuba. But Mokuba is a little psychopath. He and Seto both are. But he takes Yugi and Jonichi to the mansion where they have this like turntable full of different foods. And they play this game where they spin the table, and wherever it lands you have to eat what's in front of you. But some of them are poisoned. And the winner gets the antidote. But of course Mokuba is cheating. He has this little thing on the counter that can make him stop it whenever he wants, so the foods that he knows are poisoned will go in front of people. But of course Yami Yugi is able to scrape out a win. But here's the thing. In this book, Kaiba and Mokuba both take a great pride in how good they are at games. But Kaiba and Mokuba both cheat at every game they play. How can you have pride in your gaming ability if you don't have any gaming ability? They have like the reverse of imposter syndrome. It's insane. They think they're the best, but they literally only ever win by cheating. And we never even really see them win. Because we always see them battle Yami Yugi. But Seto Kaiba is like really traumatized from what Yami Yugi did to him at the end of their Duel Monsters game. Because you remember in a previous volume they had a game of Duel Monsters, the card game, you know, that came into the real world eventually. And in it, Yugi made it a shadow game which made the monsters come to life, which is what inspires Seto later on in the manga to make the hologram Battlefield Arena. He was inspired by a shadow game where they were real to do that. Very interesting. But also, Yugi trapped him in a Duel Monsters card, trapped his soul in it, where he was like tortured by Duel Monsters, and he has dreams about it every night. And he also recreates that later, which is pretty insane. But Kaiba comes down and he's acting all friendly, and he takes them to Kaiba Land, a theme park he made based around games. And in it, Kaiba does genuinely seem to want to make a fun place where kids can game. But there's also this darkness in him that takes over. Like, I haven't seen anything in Duelist yet. I've only read through the original Yu-Gi-Oh manga. But in the show, this darkness was like an actual evil spirit that Yami Yugi banished. Also, fun fact, he doesn't say Mind Crush in the English dub. I rewatched the first episode recently just for fun. He doesn't say Mind Crush. Huh. But that darkness is in here. So yeah, Kaiba does have moments where he seems to be decent, but then this like evil takes him over and his eyes go dark. So once again, I haven't read into Duelist yet, so I don't know if in the manga there was also something possessing him. But right now he's just kind of a psychopath. Everybody is. But in the theme park, he battles Yugi's grandpa in Duel Monsters, and Yugi's grandpa loses, and then the simulator that makes the Duel Monsters attack you after you lose a game works on him. But this time, Seto Kaiba has 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. At his original duel with Yugi, he didn't have any except for the one he stole from Yugi's grandpa, which he wasn't able to use because it wasn't in his deck, and he tried to cheat, and you know what happens when you try to cheat in a shadow game. You kind of just pretty much lose. But he ended up getting 3 Blue Eyes. The people who had them apparently wouldn't sell them to him, and he had to like ruin some people's lives to get his hands on their Blue Eyes White Dragons. Pretty insane. They didn't just want to say, oh, he bought them because he's hyper wealthy, he's a billionaire. No, he had to like ruin people's lives to get them to even be willing to sell him these cards. 4 in the world, one of the most powerful single card in Duel Monsters at this time, and he has 3 of them. If you can get him out, he's virtually unbeatable. Especially since trap cards aren't super a thing yet. Spell cards are, they seem to be, but they're not even a big deal right now. It's almost entirely monster cards. But Yugi agrees to play Kaiba again, and his grandpa gets taken to the hospital, and Yugi's grandpa like kind of figuratively puts his soul in his Duel Monsters deck, but also kind of literally, unbeknownst to him in a way. And Yugi can like feel Grandpa's heartbeat in the deck, which is actually a really cool touch. That's a really cool detail. So like when Grandpa's heart starts to fail or beat really, really quickly while he's in the hospital, Yugi can like feel it in the deck. That's very interesting. That's very cool. But of course, you can't forget Jonichi was also dragged there. But then they also want to have Honda there for Yugi's battle with Kaiba. And earlier in the manga, Seto said this was like a pre-opening for the park, and kids could come by invite only. So how is Honda there? Oh, he has a niece. Not a niece. A nephew, sorry. He has a sister. That's why I got my wires crossed. And his sister has a kid who he brought to Kaiba Land. This kid is weird. He's like a baby. Like, he can't be older than 2. I don't even think he's that old. But he speaks in full sentences, perfect grammar. He's like a genius almost. It's really insane. But he's also a sociopath. And even though he's not even 2 years old, he's also a pervert. Because why wouldn't he be? This is a 90s shonen manga. You thought you were going to get away with not having a bunch of perverts on the page all the time? Ha ha ha. Get real. Nope, he's always creeping on Anzu, who is also there because... Poor Anzu. I feel really bad for this girl. They perved on her a lot in Volume 1, especially, and then they kind of laid off. In this, she quits her... Well, she doesn't quit her job at the burger place, actually. She's sexually assaulted there, kicks the guy out that did it, and then her boss fires her for kicking out the guy that sexually assaulted her. This poor woman, this poor minor, this is a minor, by the way, she's in high school. So she goes to work at Kaiba Land as like a host for this game. Sorry, hold on. It's like a host in one of the games, and then so that she's there too. And it's like, that's a little convenient. Like, they really worked their way around this. I don't know why Kaiba couldn't have just brought everybody all at once. But I think he just originally wrote it for probably Yugi and Jonichi, and then was like, oh, the whole gang should probably be here, so I'll figure out how to get them in. But the first game they have to play is basically laser tag, but Kaiba, you see there's this tower full of all these games, and normally they're safe. They're just normal theme park games. But Kaiba can like flip a switch and make them deadly. And so Yugi and his friends can die in these games. And Kaiba has a bet with Mokuba. Kaiba's like, I think Yugi will die on stage 5, and Mokuba thinks Yugi will die on stage 4. Because stage 4 is a battle with Mokuba, and stage 5 is a battle with Kaiba. And Kaiba is betting on his brother dying. Because the losers die. But also, Kaiba constantly cheats. Once again, how can you claim you're the best at games if you cheat at every game you play? Often openly. It's really crazy. But also, why would you risk Yugi dying with all these other games? I mean, Yugi is the only one to beat you in Duel Monsters. If Yugi dies in one of these games, Kaiba, you never get to actually take your title back, do you? You never get to defeat him in Duel Monsters and prove you're the best. Because I've read forward, and I don't remember Kaiba actually cheating in the Duel Monsters game, the Yugi versus Kaiba, at the end of this run. I actually don't think he cheats in it, because I don't think he thinks he needs to. He has 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, for Christ's sake. But I guess he feels he needs to cheat in all these other games, so he hires like 3 assassin mercenaries for laser tag. And the assassin mercenaries have like laser guns that will actually kill Yugi and friends, but Yugi and friends' guns don't even work. Like, they blast one of the mercenaries, and it doesn't even, like, the sensor doesn't even go off. It's actually pretty insane. And it's like, how can these 3 high school boys defeat these mercenaries? Well, because the mercenaries are thinking about all these tactics and stuff, they don't understand Jonichi's dumb lizard brain, so he's able to get the jump on them because they don't expect him to do something really stupid that he does. And then Honda outsmarts them using the baby in a really weird way. But when they figure out that they're cheating and that the guns can actually kill them and stuff, they are able to swap them out for the deadly guns, but they lower the voltage so that they aren't actually deadly and they don't end up killing anyone. So it's good that the voltage was adjustable, which I guess makes sense because these have to function as normal theme park guns too. So the voltage would have to be adjustable. Then they go into like a haunted house section where it's like a roller coaster, and the seats are all electric chairs. Which of course Kaiba has his weird butler at to help cheat. And if they make a sound into the microphone while they're in these electric chairs, they'll get electrocuted. But it's a horror ride. So they're supposed to be scared and then scream and then they get electrocuted. But of course, they all survive. And this leads them to a haunted house that has a slasher in it. But the slasher is a real serial killer that Kaiba has and has put on his payroll. So they have to solve this clue with the word blood. And I solved it, but the way Yugi explains how he solved it was way more complex than how I solved it. Because I was like, because it's B-L-L-O-O-D is how it's spelled, and they have to guess which number has the correct switch behind it. If they click the right switch, the door to let them out opens. If they click the wrong switch, their hand gets chopped off. And the switches are labeled 00, 01, 10, and 11. And I was like, oh, there's 2 L's in blood, that makes it 11. It's an 11. Which is correct, it was 11. But Yugi's reasoning was way more complex than mine because of the shape of all the numbers and the way it lines up. And also, the second L kind of looks like an arrow. The explanation is way more complex than it needs to be. But then, of course, since Kaiba is a dirty little cheating boy, the exit door that opens is also the door that has the serial killer behind it. Uh-oh. And then there's like a game where they have to chain themselves to the serial killer, who has an objectively cool design with like a screen with Kaiba's head attached to his chest and stuff. I kind of like it. He looks cool. He's very Texas Chainsaw in a way. But Jonichi is able to defeat him also in a pretty clever way. But this time they just kill the dude. They set this serial killer on fire. And then they leave him. So this guy they did kill. For sure. But, Grandpa ends up in very critical condition. So they head to the official T3, which is like this kind of Tetris game, but they're not playing Tetris. There's blocks falling from the sky, and they have to dodge them and climb up on them to get to the exit. But here's the thing. When this is actually a pretty good story, because this is when Anzu kind of starts pulling her weight. Because for a lot of the manga, she doesn't do much. She kind of just stands around while the boys do stuff. In this one, she's the one that figures out that there's like a rhythm and a pattern, and she's like, "Oh, my dance training lets me recognize these patterns. I can show you the pattern, guys, and we can get out of here." She really pulls her weight in this. But when one of the blocks falls, it traps Honda, and he kind of has to sacrifice himself so everyone else can get through. I didn't believe he was dead for a second, because I know he's in later stories. And I was like, come on, yeah. But when this was coming out, I could see readers thinking he was dead. But it's just been so long and stuff that now the average Yu-Gi-Oh fan knows that he's in future stories and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to see him. But that is kind of the big cliffhanger for this volume, which is a good place to leave off. And then there is like a little board game. The volumes are going to start having games in the back you can play, which is nice. So there's a little board game you can play. That's fun. And then also a little spot that talks about the cards, the Duel Monsters cards that appear in their real world counterparts. But that is it for Yu-Gi-Oh! Volume 4 Kaiba's Revenge from Kazuki Takahashi and Shonen Jump. And I guess Viz Media. So thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I'm trying to split the reviews up for Yu-Gi-Oh! Try to do something that's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Between each one, so it's not just a string of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I don't know what I'll do next. Probably Spider-Man or Batman, maybe. But then we'll have Volume 5 after that. So that's it. Thank you all once again. See y'all next time. Bye for now.